You have the ring, and I see that your Schwartz is as big as mine. Now, let's see how well you handle it.
It's time to take an inside look at those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Man, we're going to have fun today, and that is the operative word for this episode, because we have a gentleman who shows individuals and companies how to tap into their true selves to feel their happiest and most fulfilled, all by playing. Thrive Loud listeners, discover your play. We've got Jeff Harry here today. Jeff, how are you today?
Oh, I'm excited.
So I learned about what you do and said, oh man, someone finally is doing what is needed most in this world. Jeff, let's do this. I want to do a quick rewind a little bit, not like all the way to, to birth or the womb or anything like that. I want to understand how this kind of became your gig. Can you share that, like, rewind and then fast forward up to today?
Sure. So I'll give you the Batman origin story. So do you remember the movie Big with Tom Hanks?
Absolutely.
So I saw that movie in third grade, and he basically got a job playing with toys for a living. And I was like, whoa, you can do that for a living? So I went to FEO Schwartz, dancing on piano, was not discovered like Tom Hanks was. So I went home and started writing toy companies in third grade. And I literally did not stop until I got into the toy industry. And I don't know if you've ever gotten exactly what you wanted and then been so disappointed when you get there. But there was like no toys, no fun, no high fives, no kids, like nothing. Like it was just cubicle walls for like days, right? And they might as well have been selling pillows or socks. Like it really didn't matter. So I left, had my quarter life crisis. I left New York, came to the San Francisco Bay Area, bumped into an organization on Craigslist paying $150 a week to teach kids engineering with Lego, basically playing for a living. I thought it was a joke of a job, but I was like, I'll just do it just in the meantime. But then I was like, wait, but they're playing for a living. I'm going to make this a thing. And then I committed to it, and we built the largest Lego-inspired STEM organization like in the US. We took it from 7 people to 400 people. We taught 100,000 kids a year.
I love it.
And we did it all by playing. Like we had no idea what we were doing. Like we picked cities we thought were fun. We picked people we thought were fun. We had no business plan, but we just got it bigger and bigger. And because we were in Silicon Valley, we got the attention of Facebook, Google, Adobe, like all those organizations. And they were like, hey, do you do team building events? And we're like, of course we do. No, we didn't, but we just said yes to everything, right? You just say yes to everything back then, right? So we're just playing around, right? But then for the next decade, I was running team building events for the top tech companies in the world. But I noticed at the same time that he talked about disruption and risk-taking and innovation and all these freaking buzzwords, I didn't believe they were doing a lot of that. And it was because they had not created psychologically safe workspaces. So I created Rediscover Your Play, addressing toxicity in the workplace, toxic masculinity, how to have hard conversations, how to deal with your inner critic using positive psychology in play.
Oh, I love it. And by the way, that was one of the best rewind fast forward buttons we've hit on the show to summarize everything.
Boom, let's go. It wasn't sexpionage, but I'm trying to get up there.
We'll give a shout out to Monica at the end of the show. I want to talk about, first of all, if you haven't figured it out yet, and you've been looking at the podcast art of this very episode, you will notice that Jeff is wearing a Lego bow tie, which just typifies it all, everything about it. But I want to dive into playing, because I think this is really cool. Some of the STEM work that you were talking about that you were doing with students actually is really about engineering and building, and probably not as much focused on playing.
Right.
Yet that does get lost in the workplace. And I think, can you share with the listeners the power of playing and what that can do to you?
Sure. So A lot of companies, when I mention play, they're like, ugh. Like they react to like, oh, that's frivolous. It's a waste of time. And I hear what they're saying, but I always turn back to them. And I quote Stephen Johnson, who says, the future's where people are having the most fun. And if you look at the organizations that thrived in 2020, they were playing the TikToks, the Clubhouses, the Hulus, the Disney Pluses, because it builds adaptability, resiliency. You're able to let go of results and be fully present in the moment. And look at organizations that have allowed their staff to play. Google has their 20% program or 20% rule where they allow their staff a fifth of their time to pursue what is curious to them, right? As long as it benefits Google. That's basically a playground for their Google employees to do what they want, as long as they are finding their joy, their zone of genius. What came from the Google 20% program? AdSense, which pays the bills, Gmail, which everyone uses, and Google Meet. So that is the power play can have in the workplace, and I define play as any joyful act where you're fully present in the moment, where you forget about time, right? Where you don't have anxiety about the future. You don't have regrets about the past. You are fully in flow. And when you're fully in flow, you're 5 times more productive. Morale in a workplace where people are allowed to get into flow and pursue their zone of genius increases exponentially, and turnover drops dramatically. So those are just some of the benefits of simply playing at work.
Jeff, let's dive in and really play. Tell me what you do to get these companies, these groups, and these workshops that you do to get them to play. Give an example of some of the activities these adults get to play with. Playing.
Sure. So when I run a workshop called How to Deal with a Toxic Person at Work through Play. And I don't know if I can swear on this.
You can fucking say whatever you want, Jeff.
Okay, sweet. So the workshop I run with my colleague Gary Ware is called How to Deal with A-holes at Work through Play. That's literally the name of the workshop. It's a workshop that we got awards for because simply we were willing to call out the toxicity, right? So even in that workshop, we actually have people act out what it's like to be that a-hole. How does that feel to be in that certain position of power? Do you like that? Do you not like that? Then we have them also role play. How would you actually talk to that person? How do you address their behavior without attacking their character? Because we're all about creating a safe playground where you can actually practice. Because if you think about work, we never get to practice. In football, they practice all week for a 3-hour game. We go to work for 40 hours a week, no practice. No practice on how to have a hard conversation. No practice on how to be a good manager. How many managers do you know that got promoted because they did the last job well, but then they're horrible at the new job, but no one's ever given them the opportunity to practice how to mediate or manage or lead or anything. So we're giving them an opportunity to be let's practice that conversation that you're so scared to have, right? And what's the acronym for fear? False evidence appearing real. So let's have that conversation. And the more you have it, you realize man, actually, this is not that hard. I can actually confront Chad. I can actually set my boundaries with Chad while still being respectful, so that he doesn't disrespect me anymore. And then guess what? The benefit for the entire department is there's more psychological safety because Chad can't act up the way he's been acting up.
I like it. By the way, my acronym for fear is face everything and rise. That's my
nice.
Yeah, I figured a little more positive component to that word. So this is great. And now I want to address something that I know happens. Sometimes people don't want to play.
Yeah.
How do you deal with those that aren't either ready or willing or feel like that comfort zone that they'd have to jump into to get themselves to play with others, or maybe not even playing well with others, is something that they're just not into? How can you make that transformation, or how can you get others to get
I love that.
Yeah.
No, I love that question. I hate forced fun, right? I hate it. I ran team building events for a decade. If Chad hates Samantha and you put them in an escape from the room together, they're going to hate each other afterwards. All right. There's no team building event that's going to heal that wound that has been festering for the past 5 years. So what I do in a lot of our workshops is we don't force anyone to do anything. It's like a playground. So if you feel comfortable enough to play, awesome. If you don't, just hang out on the sidelines. I run this workshop called Playing with Your Inner Critic. Some people are not ready to face their inner critic, so they just hang out on a playground at the edges. And if at any time they want to join, then they join on in. And you'd be surprised the benefits you even get by simply watching others play, because then you start to get, you're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I can do this as well. Then you'll hop in. But we never want to force people to do anything, especially during a play workshop, right? Because you have to create psychological safety. And if people don't feel psychologically safe, to force them to be vulnerable is not effective at all. So we never force anyone to do anything. We set the playground, we set the parameters. Whoever wants to join, joins. And anyone else that feels comfortable later on, they can join, or they can observe from the sidelines.
Jeff, I have led many workshops and seen incredible engagement, as have you, as have many others. We all know that when you leave, it's tough to keep that momentum and that fun building. I'm going to say it out loud here. How do you get people to play with themselves?
Well, the thing is you have to, these, whenever I talk to organizations, we're not the silver bullet. There is no silver bullet. If you've had a psychologically unsafe work environment for the past 5 years, me coming in to run this 1 to 2 hour workshop is not going to solve it. None of these team building or any of these programs are going to solve it unless you're willing to work on this afterwards. So a lot of the things that we are trying to persuade people to do is to give them the confidence, the gall to be like, if they're doing their, how to navigate difficult conversations workshop, we measure our success based off of how many difficult conversations they have within the next month. And we'll come back and be like, hey, do you want to practice more with me one-on-one on this? Or do we want to run another workshop coming up in like another month or 2 or 3 months from now? Because this is like an ongoing thing. You want to deal with a toxic person, that sometimes takes 6 months to a year, if not longer, right? And the same thing with like dealing with your inner critic. Like it's just like any muscle that you have to like lift. If you go to the gym once with like a personal trainer and they get you super excited and they bounce, you're not going to do it again unless someone is checking in on you. So that's what we do a lot of the times in order to make sure that the work actually sticks, because otherwise it's just like a one and done. And it's not beneficial.
Jeff, before I peel back some layers and we focus on you, as it relates to this work that you've done, is there one thing that sticks out that maybe you're more proud of than others, or a certain moment, or even a workshop that you did? Something that sticks out with you that's saying, wow, this playing got the results, not only that I achieved, but far out measured whatever I could have imagined.
Yeah. My friend Gary, our colleague Gary Ware, and I were running the Dealing with A-Holes at Work Through Play workshop, this Toxicity Workshop, which we had run at like Inbound in Boston, and we were going to do it at South by Southwest. But we were in Australia right before the lockdown, right? So we're in Australia. We don't know if there's as much toxicity, in Melbourne, Australia, but we're running this workshop. And in the middle of the workshop, people are laughing, they're having a good time. And then some people started like tearing up, and we were like, "Whoa, what's happening here?" And people, and what was happening were people were sharing how, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one that left a company because of a toxic person, and then another person would share, and another person. And I remember it was like, it was predominantly women in the room, but then there was this one guy that was like, yeah, I did too. And they were like, whoa, you too? White dude? I didn't know that you would experience that as well. So there was this bonding that was happening with complete strangers, just to realize they weren't alone, and that they didn't need to tolerate that type of behavior going forward. So running a workshop where there was laughing, crying, and transformation, because that's what we're looking for. We're not looking for a transactional result. We're looking for a transformational result where people were believing, hey, I actually want to help eradicate A-holes from my workplace, not just for me, but for anyone else that felt my pain. That is really powerful. And all of them were walking out more like friends, and being like, hey, good luck, good luck with your Chad. Good luck with your Chad. And that is like, that's what like gets me so excited whenever we run workshops like that.
It's spectacular. Jeff, you've obviously been helping others thrive. You've been playing throughout your career and thriving, and that's why you're here on Thrive Loud today. Yet we all have days when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Jeff, when you are off your game and not quite being able to stack those blocks the way you'd like to, what practice do you seek, What individual do you seek out to get yourself back on the thriving track?
So I start my day by making ridiculous TikTok videos like that. I frame my day. I frame my day as play by creating to begin my day. Like before I do anything else, maybe I'll eat something beforehand, but like I'll make a ridiculous TikTok video. It's only like 30 seconds to a minute, but it actually primes my day to now start seeing everything as play, right? And then I learned this from my friend Desiree, who challenged me to ask this question whenever something is either going really well or going really badly. She goes, ask yourself, how can it get any better than this? So if I start my day like today with this, TikTok video, ooh, how can it get any better than this? Ooh, then I hopped on this like really interesting call with my friend Steven where we're going to call out corporate jargon bullshit. Ooh, how can it get any better than this? Now you and me, Lou, are having this conversation. Ooh, how can it get any better than this? I'm connecting with a friend later on. And we're going to like nerd out on like some new crazy project. How can it get any better than this? And when I'm positively priming and looking for the next thing that actually could get better, from positive psychology standpoint, your brain is constantly looking for patterns. So then it looks for ways in which it can get better. Now, when I'm working with clients and clients are like, hey, I had a bad day today. And I'm like, did you have a bad day or did you have a bad moment? And then you ruminated about that bad moment because thoughts usually last between 9 seconds and 90 seconds. And you ruminated 100 times over that bad moment. You prime yourself to look for the next bad moment, the next bad moment. And simply shifting by asking the question, how can it get any better than this? You can change your hour, your day, and then potentially your life.
I love it. Let's do the admin part of the show. I'm laughing because I'm trying to see where I'm going to go towards the back half of this interview, but I have some ideas.
Let's go.
Let's do this. Share with the listeners the admin component of the show here. All the places people can find you, websites, URLs, socials, your TikTok links, whatever it is. We will put it in the show notes, but it's way more engagement when they hear it directly from you.
Absolutely. So I'm at all of the social media platforms at Jeff Harry Plays, JeffHarryPlays. And you can go to my website, rediscoveryourplay.com, and click on the Let's Play button where I have all these play activities that you can learn about yourself as well as your business and your team. And you can just hop on a call with me and we can figure out how you can kick ass more in this world, all by playing.
I was going to say, which I do to most of my guests, permission to go down Fun Street. But actually what I'm going to say is we're on Fun Street. Man. We're on Fun Avenue and Fun Highway this whole way. So now I just want to make a slight turn down
Let's go.
Fun Court, if you would.
All right.
I love it. First of all, share with the listeners, if you could, one or two, because you gave two, of your all-time favorite movies.
Oh, man. Okay, so I picked Good Morning Vietnam with Robin Williams. Rest in peace. Best comedian ever, in my opinion. Oh, Dave Chappelle's pretty close, too. And the reason why Good Morning Vietnam is because, like, he brought happiness to, like, an entire, I don't know if it's a country, but at least to the military during the Vietnam War. And it's based off of, like, a real person. And then, of course, classic Karate Kid. I must have watched, when people say, I've watched that movie 100 times and you're like, have you? I actually have watched Karate Kid. And then of course the Cobra Kai series, way too much.
It's pretty cool actually to the Cobra Kai series, as the two individuals, they'll always be forever etched for those roles. And the fact that they were able to create the role and almost flip the dynamic. Someone actually said that the How I Met Your Mother episode is what sparked the entire thing, which was, the whole thing that the Barney character basically had this contrarian view of Karate Kid, that Daniel was the bad guy and that Johnny was the good guy. And that's actually supposedly where the whole thing stemmed from. But, it's pretty awesome. Cobra Kai.
That's so cool. I love that.
All right. So now we're going to do the speed round here, Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff, the way this works is I'm going to ask you something. I want the first thing that comes to your mind. I don't want you to think too much about it. These are things that make you feel good, that lift you up, that motivate you, that mostly make you thrive. You ready?
Yeah.
A song you love to hear or one that pumps you up.
A Jerusalem.
Favorite food that's not a dessert.
Thin crust pizza.
A favorite dessert.
Ooh, key lime cheesecake.
An activity you wish you did more of.
Ooh, ran in my alien costume outside in public.
An activity you wish you did less of.
Oh, worry about other people's opinions.
Jeff, if I snap my fingers and you can go anywhere in the world, where are you?
Ooh. Wait, right now during this pandemic, or
right
later
now,
on?
or wherever you get to snap and be anytime at any place, a certain location.
Any time and any place. Oh man, I think I would go back to Brazil at the World Cup in Rio de Janeiro.
Wow,
that's where I was at. Oh, it was such a good game. I believe that was Colombia versus Spain or something like that.
Spectacular. If you were to have one toy or game, if you were stuck on an island and there was one thing that you could have, what would that toy or game be, Jeff Harry?
Oh man, this is a tough question. Only one?
You get only one.
Oh man. I mean, going off the big theme, the piano. I take that toy piano, man.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, because that could entertain me for a long time.
Jeff Harry, discover your play.
Oh, rediscover your play, because you already had it.
Yeah.
We're just helping you rediscover.
Well, now we're just rediscovering your play, but I'm just saying it out loud. Rediscover your play. Seriously, what you're doing is awesome. I think it's great. I think this is so true that you're really helping to get people fulfilled, happy, and identify their true selves by tapping into this. Thanks for everything you do, and thank you for coming on Thrive Loud today.
Hey, thanks so much for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.